The Carolina Panthers are benching Bryce Young and are starting Andy Dalton this week. Now, obviously, this is no guarantee that Andy Dalton is going to be the starter for the rest of the season, but Dalton, it certainly opens the door. And, we talked about what kind of a head coach Dave Canales is going to be. And as a first-time head coach, was he going to feel like he had the authority to really do what he needed to do to make the best moves for this team? And it's very clear that he does. Now, let's be very clear about this. He does not do this unless he talks to David Tepper himself and Tepper signs off on it, or even Tepper's the one who suggests it because he's tired of losing, because we know that he does not enjoy those things. What owner does? But what's your immediate thoughts here? Bryce is on the bench. It has looked very bad over the 1 year and 2 games that he has played. What do you think happens here for Bryce?
In the immediate, and why this is happening now. Again, I was a fan of the school of thought where it's like last year, leave it behind, because they had so many issues. The problem now is through 2 weeks, it's exactly what I just mentioned in a clean pocket. He was only pressured 14% in this game, and he still didn't make the throws. If you have a guy in a good environment, it's almost why, Trevor, it's almost why PFF passing grade exists, is to try to isolate, okay, just what type of throws and decisions are quarterbacks making in a somewhat independent variable sort of sense, right? Because obviously everything's dependent in football. It's 22 dependent variables moving all at the same time on a football field. But if you're in a clean pocket, and if you have something of an open receiver, you as a quarterback become a whole lot more independent, and your own performance becomes a stable thing we can predict. Right now, with their offensive line playing better, and again, I'd have to go and check every single snap of the receivers to see it. I mean, I can't imagine with a better group, with Deontay Johnson and with Adam Thielen and with Xavier Legette and some decent tight. I can't imagine everyone's blanketed on every single play. And to me, it doesn't look like it. I'm with you. It looks like he lacks for confidence. And if you lack for confidence, even when you're protected, it's a problem. If they give this protection that they gave yesterday to Andy Dalton, which was solid at the very least, right? And if he's only pressured 14% of the time, he's going to be living. Right. Andy Dalton will play well.
I know.
Because he's confident. He's a veteran. He's done it for, what, is he in his 14th season now, I think it is?
Is it 14?
I think wasn't it 2011?
Well, he's had a couple of opportunities for multiple teams where he's been able to come in and play well.
He had one start last year. He was very good.
Right.
I mean, Andy Dalton will not go in there and lack for confidence. He never has.
No.
He's going to go in there, and if they protect him like that, it's going to be. It feels like in these first 2 games, it's a more isolated Bryce Young problem now.
Yeah, and Andy Dalton was never going to sell tickets. Andy Dalton was never going to sell jerseys.
Guys named Dalton don't sell tickets.
Okay,
really? Come on now.
That's not where I was going. That's not where I was going. What are you making me out to be the bad guy out here?
I just had to throw it in. It's like the only Dalton.
He's not selling season tickets. He's not selling jerseys. Bryce Young is. The Heisman Trophy winner is. The former Alabama quarterback is. That's sort of how you look at it from a face of the franchise perspective, and how all of this with quarterbacks gets very tricky. Because if you ask me, has Bryce Young ever been the best quarterback on the Carolina Panthers since he has been there? No, he hasn't, because they've had Dalton the whole time. So, at least I think they've had him the whole time, if I remember correctly.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, he was there the whole time last year,
I think he started in week 2 or 3.
Okay,
It was a game that Young missed.
He was there the whole year. So, Bryce Young's never been the best quarterback on that roster at any point in time. Now you get a little bit dangerous because...
Well, you're in the Zach Wilson thing like the Jets were, where it's like we bench him and then we bring him back and we bench him and we're trying to play psychologist.
And I don't know. And obviously, I don't want to be a hyperbolic prisoner of the moment, because Dave Canales, I think, is going to be very open-minded about this. If Andy Dalton plays well and gives them a chance to win games, they're going to continue to go to him. If he does not, I don't think they're going to be afraid to go back to Bryce Young. But at that point, are you in a Zach Wilson situation where you have already chosen a quarterback over him, Aaron Rodgers with Zach Wilson, and then Aaron Rodgers gets hurt and you got to throw Zach Wilson out there and it's so far gone? It feels like the most likely conclusion here is that Bryce is done in Carolina. I don't want to be too prisoner of the moment.
We very rarely see guys who get benched come back and then they're great. Usually it's something more like, say, Geno Smith or Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield,
where they go to another team
elsewhere.
Yes.
And it's no, you're right. It's unfortunate that we have to sit here and ask long-term questions about the Panthers in week 2, but that's where we're at, because it's now an isolated variable with Young. Their pass protection's been fine. They went and got weapons, right? And Bryce, like you said, it looks like it's everything you said in your stat. He looks like he's afraid to throw the football right now.
Yeah, I just
like if you're afraid to make a mistake, look, you have a Bryce Young who went number 1 overall, and you mentioned Gardner Minshew before, who was a 6th round pick, and he's just not afraid of anything, and that's pretty much his best trait. That's big. At quarterback especially, you got to be a brave soul to play that position, and if you're not willing to at least take some sort of risk, that's what it looked like this week. Just every ball went 3 yards, and he just was unwilling to take the gamble of making any sort of mistake at all. You just can't have it.
I feel bad, man.
I do too. I mean, he's super talented. Everything we saw at Bama is in there somewhere, but if you don't have the confidence and you don't think you can do it, then you're probably not gonna. Quarterbacks that lack confidence don't get far.
Yeah. You just got to clone Kyle Shanahan and just have like 6 Kyle Shanahans around the league. You know what I'm saying?
There are.
No, but but Kyle Shanahan is still like he's still the king of it.
He's the Kyle Shanahan.
He's the Kyle Shanahan. Although Kevin O'Connell,